I joined this subreddit because like I've never had any type of experience with like precognitive dreams like ever in my life, or even like just anything like I guess supernatural or like spiritual of any kind. And I was also raised Christian, so like that. I mean, there's like they talk about that a lot in the Bible, but I guess I don't really like think about it like how it would like apply to that aspect of my life. But like last year, I started having dreams about one of my friends, and he has struggles a lot with like mental health related things, and I noticed that the dreams were correlating with when he was kind of hitting a low point in his mental health, or even like I would have a dream like well timed enough that it would be like before he hit a low point, and I would kind of be looking out for him, and then he would hit a low point, and I was like consistently helping him. So it was, like I said, it was like very well timed, and it's happened several times now, and I didn't even notice it until I noticed it the first time it happened, and then I didn't notice it happening after that until maybe like a month or two later. But but yeah, that's kind of the reason I joined. I was just kind of curious, like, to see if anybody else had like those experiences, because like I said, like this hadn't really happened to me before, and it's only been with this one person. Although as of recently, like I've noticed that there's other aspects of my dreams that are like correlating with things that happen in real life, but they're not really like significant. It's just like really random stuff. So yeah, I was just like curious to see if anybody else had like similar experiences and like just kind of figure out kind of what's going on, I guess. So yeah.
Right. Well, there's something really endearing about like precogging our friends' like low points. So I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so too. It's really interesting.
I never really precogged too many personal things as far as like people in my life or anything. I always end up just precogging TV shows and movies and random parts throughout my day. But I've definitely seen posts of people, and it's definitely backed by science. But I've seen posts of people who that's kind of the only thing that they either like dream of or sense or just have that intuition for. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
kind
funny.
of.
Like my, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, you go on first. I got mine for later.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say like my roommate. That's how my roommate is. Like she'll have precog dreams like pretty frequently, but you won't realize it's a precognitive dream until it actually happens, and it'll be like something super random. Like it could be like a meme that I show her, and she'll be like, "Oh, I had a dream that you showed me this," or we'll be talking about something, and she'll be like, "Oh, I had a dream we were talking about this." So it's like really just random stuff. Um, that's it happens like pretty consistently, but it's also just like I said, very random topics. So yeah.
Well, there's a lot of science behind that. I'm not sure if you're like a sciencey type person or if you're just kind of like figuring out the experiences from there. But like yeah, mundane things are reported most common in precognitive dreams. Um, and I know I've talked about this before, but uh, it seems like it's probably there's a lot of things that are probably going to get brought up every time I jump on here. But um, but yeah, studies show that it used to precognition used to be a survival skill that we share with there's western blue scrub jays and uh, species of fish and everything that are all precognitive and they use it for survival. But we pretty much just park ourselves in front of TV and not really need to survive like that. So there's a lot of like misses where precognition is just for nothing, just random things in our lives. Like my very first precognition ever, I was 11 and it was over a laundry basket. Like I was just folding clothes and I was like, oh, this is what I dreamt of last night in detail. Um, and yeah, since then I've precogged things like plane crashes and other stuff, but now it seems I've taken a break and yeah, and not to mention, I don't even think I have friends I would precog anything about. So let's will you be my friend?
Sure.
All right. If I get any low points, you have to let me know beforehand.
All right, we'll do. Yeah, the other weird thing is that it only happens with that friend, and like other people, like I know other friends who struggle with like similar things, and they've also like hit low points that I've, you know, helped them through and stuff, but like I've never gotten in like a dream about it before. Which is really weird, but maybe that'll change. I don't know. It's been less than a year, so who knows.
Yeah. Well, I remember a couple years ago when the subreddit started, there was this one saying that we would constantly just be like spamming every post with almost. I just said almost twice. Great. But yeah, it's that precognition. Once you figure out your own version of it and you start paying attention to it, it changes and it becomes something completely else, completely different. And and yeah, like so I was talking about like plane crashes and stuff like that. Well, once I figured it out that I was kind of a subconscious fascination with death, and so I was precogging news articles from the next day that were death related. Once I caught it and figured it out, it switched, and then I started precogging completely different things throughout my life. So now that you're aware of this, maybe it'll switch up and open up more.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I did notice like recently that I wouldn't say it like switched because it still was about the friend and it was like normal, but there were like other elements in that same dream that also happened in real life. So like basically, so the thing is with the dreams is like they don't always correlate with like how he's feeling or actually doing in real life. It's just like his presence in the dream is kind of what makes me realize it's like a precog dream, or I don't know, I just get like a feeling about it, you know.
Hmm.
And like for this in this dream, like he was there, and then there's like, but then there's like other things. Like there were these candles, wide, like wide, tall candles. I don't even know. They're like kind of like candles you'd see at like a memorial or something like that. And there were
Oh,
like a
okay.
lot of them, like of different heights. And so I had that dream about the candles, and then that like ever since then, like I see those same candles from time to time, just in decorations or um, as part of like a set or something. I don't know, but I just kept seeing them like repetitively. And before that, I didn't really see those candles anywhere, so it was kind of weird. And
That's
then yeah, and then I also so I go to a Christian college, so we have like chapel, you know, every other like a few times a week,
cool. Hmm.
and I had a dream that like this person like spoke at chapel wasn't like a friend of mine, and he's only spoken at chapel like once, and the whole time I've been here, and I just thought it was whatever, and I told my friend about it, and she was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny," and then a few days later, like we were looking at the like advertisement billboard TV thingy in the
Oh, yeah.
student center, and it said he was speaking at chapel, and we were like, "No way!" So yeah, that was kind of random, but
That's really cool. Um, Dream elements. See, like, I've been going through that a lot lately where I'll look at a dream. Actually, it just happened today. Do you watch Netflix, like Russian Doll specifically?
I do not. I've not heard of that.
It is a Netflix show with Natasha Lyonne, and she is basically a mental time prisoner where she isn't intending to travel through time, but she's accidentally doing it, and it's only mentally, so it's within her own body.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
what's weird is, and my partner actually pointed this out earlier, as soon as we finished watching the first season of that show in December of 2020, I think it was, I went to sleep that night and I wrote down my dream the next morning. And all these, years went by, a couple years went by. We just went to go watch the season two, the second part of season two today. We finished most of it yesterday. And I was starting to get really intense deja vu, and it definitely turned into deja rave, where I started realizing what I had dreamed of before. So I opened up my dream journal, and sure enough, almost every other element in that dream was identically from the episode that I was watching right then and there of Russian Doll.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
like really love having someone around that like I get to tell them my dream when it happens, and then when it actually happens in real life, they're just like, "Whoa, no way!" But in this instance, my partner like pointed out the things that I dreamed of. Like it seemed normal to me when I was dreaming of it at the time. And then today I'm reading it and I'm like, wait a minute, I literally in this one say towards the end of the episode. So even though I was only recording a dream, I like knew it was an episode with like production value and stuff somehow. Um, but still, that aside though, there were elements that were just normal elements that I was dreaming of, purely for like whatever was happening in my life back then. So I had to kind of get rid of those nonsensical elements that were from back then, and the only thing that was left was just basically this episode of this show, but 2 years before it aired.
Wow, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, you get to like you get like the spoilers before they actually happen.
Uh, yeah, that's been going on for like 12 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it went from plane crashes and death in the news to stuff I watch the next day.
Wow.
And you can try to like change it so that it's more meaningful and that, it isn't just over nonsensical, mundane personal things, but it's really hard. Like, I mean, I'm the mod for this subreddit and I still don't really have a control over my precognition because you got to kind of balance it out with real life too. So,
Yeah, I've always wondered about that because I know, yeah, like you were saying, that like other people said, like you can kind of, they feel like they can kind of control it in a sense, and I
hmm
feel like I can't really control mine per se, and even like I can't even control like how I feel about it either. Like sometimes I'll be like restless after I have one of those dreams, even if like it hasn't come true yet or like nothing has happened. I just kind of feel like something is going to happen, and then after it happens or after I get like the resolution to whatever the theme was in the dream, then I like feel more at ease about it.
yep,
But
I relate
yeah,
to
I
that.
just kind of yeah, I don't know.
That actually makes sense because dreams are feeling based and they kind of just go off of whatever senses they're given. So like we don't necessarily precog things as if we're recording with a camera, but instead it's like you're telling yourself a story over time and trying to get like the important details. And what's cool though is like a lot of them are feelings based. I mean, that's proven scientifically too, but I mean, just thinking about like you precogging your friends' low points, and me with the plane crashes and how that triggered my emotions over death, and even just what you were just saying about getting excited about it. I try to tell people not to get too excited about it because it tends to like scare the precog away. But I can't control that. Like I've been
Right.
telling people for years, and I still get really giddy and excited, and I think that's part of it because I think it's just really a feeling and emotion based thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and I feel like yeah, and I feel like for in my case, like there has to be emotion tied to it in order for it to be useful to some extent, I guess.
Mhm.
Because it was really interesting actually. I was just telling someone this, but like the first dream that I had, like so I had the first dream that I had about this friend probably like 3-4 weeks after I met him. So we had just become friends, and we're just kind of like casual friends at this point. Like I care about him as a person, but I wouldn't say I like cared about him per se, or I wasn't like particularly interested in him. But
Mhm.
after that first dream that I had, like I felt more of a, I guess, emotional connection to him, and like I actually felt like more concern and like more care. I don't know. Yeah, it was very weird. Like even like my friends noticed that like my whole demeanor, like when talking about that friend, would just kind of change. And
Hmm.
they were like, wow, like you like uh yeah, like they just noticed that I just cared a lot more about him. I don't know. Yeah.
That's cool. Like like sometimes when we dream of things, it is like a self fulfilling prophecy, and I think like from what I've read from like all the studies and everything, because I have at this point from all these years of being the moderator here, I have so many studies in my brain about precognition. And the one that I think is probably most relative to this is that feelings and emotions are important because precognition tends to be reward based. And for people who either haven't like trained that part of their brain so much, or people who have kind of desensitized it. Um, like me, for example, it's probably obvious I have ADHD, and it takes like a lot of focus for me. Like when I meditate and I'm trying to have precognition or just even go to sleep, it just takes a lot of focus, and I have to tell myself what the reward is. And before I go to sleep, you know, I mentioned earlier, like, will you be my friend? Like, if I actually went to sleep last night with the intention of, when will I have a friend? When will I, even just joke about having a friend? Which sounds really sad, but I promise I'm good. Um, uh, Even if I just went to bed with that intention, my precognitive mechanisms would search for that and try to feel for that and try to show me the path that I would need to take, the things that I would need to do in order to get down that path to get to that exact point. Um, and that all sounded like a long walk for a small sip of water, but I hope that made sense somehow.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that totally makes sense.
All right. Yeah, I actually don't even know what my precognition is like influenced by now because I mentioned entertainment, but I kind of have this feeling lately that it's kind of time travel based. Like I'm only precogging the time travel related movies and shows now, so
Oh,
I'm almost
interesting.
getting yeah, like Doctor Who. Like I started precog that episode of Doctor Who that just aired this last weekend, and that blew my mind. So it's it's like I'm almost precogging precognition at this point. So it's getting a little trippy.
Do you watch any like a lot of other genres of show, or is it just like time
Oh
travel
yeah,
stuff?
I do a lot of, let's see, superhero shows, like rom-coms, comedies, definitely, science and science fiction.
Interesting, but it's like only the precog dreams only seem to happen with the time travel related shows.
That yeah, that seems to get my like subconscious's attention the most is if it's
Interesting.
time travel, which makes sense, kind of a whole reason why I started this subreddit, kind of obsessed with the idea of like mental time travel.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you have any like just out of curiosity? Do you have any like kind of I guess like religion or spiritual background? And if so, like do you feel like that ties into the precog dreams at all, or are you coming at this from like a purely, I guess,
Hmm.
uh, physical perspective or like
Yeah,
scientific
I,
perspective?
I didn't come from like any religious household except for the fact that my mom used to be Catholic, so like a lot of that stuff kind of trickled down. Um, But no, I wasn't ever made to go to church or read the Bible or anything. I ended up like researching religions kind of in my mid 20s. I ended up picking Vaishnava Hinduism because their views on dreams and like life and precognition and reincarnation seem to jive with my experiences. But that hasn't actually affected any of my precognition at all. And what's interesting is I remember a study saying that the ideas that you build in your childhood of religious archetypes carry on to like your dreams subconsciously throughout your life. So a lot of people have like what they think is like a really religious, deep, or like spiritual dream, but instead it's kind of just like their mind being like, we're trying to make you feel special. Like we're trying to activate that feeling of specialness. Um,
Oh,
which other studies show is your brain trying to open you up to psi and like psi related activities and precognition and just trying to get you to think a little bit more open, almost like an alert, like hey, start thinking about the future instead of the past.
interesting. Yeah, I never really like, looked into the scientific side of it. Well, because first of all, like I didn't really experience this until like last year, and then also, um, I don't know. I guess I just always kind of saw like most precognitive dream stories as like not like fake necessarily, but I was like, it's probably like another explanation. Or um, there were a few cases that were I felt like they were legitimate, but I didn't feel like it was huge of a phenomenon as it was. Like I didn't really think it was that common, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So this is all kind of still kind of like learning more about like other people's experiences and stuff like that.
I don't know if you've seen Ian Wilson on the subreddit. He took a couple years off to work on his own thing, but he's back lately, it seems. But he has a system that he invented a long time ago for like how precognitive a dream is, like a rating system. And he says to like disregard pretty much anything under like a 2 or a 3 because that could be coincidence, that could be happenstance. It's not provable. There isn't enough detail, you know. And he's absolutely right because in the research that I went through, a lot of research gets tossed out, and a lot of dreams through history and letters between loved ones that could be precognitive get tossed away because there's just so many elements to that could be coincidence or hasn't been proven yet. So yeah, it's easy to it's easy to dream of something that's likely to happen, but it's really incredible to dream of specific information that happens whenever, you know. Um, I had one that was so specific. It was a plane crash with 3 people on board and one survived, and that was the dream. And then I woke up, and an hour later, I saw that exact news story. And Ian Wilson said, if you can get the who, the where, and the what like exact, then that's like an 8 or above on the scale of like 1 to 10 on precognition, how likely or how strong of a precognitive dream something is. So um, you just got to shoot for the things that are like 8 and above with the who, the when, and the where or the why or the what.
Oh, it's really interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I always wondered about that too because sometimes, because there have definitely been times, like I said, this has been going on for like almost a year, but there are times when I'm like, there were definitely times where I thought it was a coincidence and I would just kind of ignore it, and then later I would find out like, oh no, actually this correlated with something that was going on, and sometimes I'm still like, because I'm kind of confused as to why the dreams like aren't always more specific either, because I feel like I said, they don't really predict what's going to happen. It could just be a dream about anything, but a lot of times the theme will be similar to what's happening in real life, or again the timing. The timing is what really gets me, I think, is that the timing is so accurate, and that it was even accurate before I even knew the friend very well. So yeah, I don't know.
I love when
Oh,
that happens.
sorry.
Oh, I love when that happens. Yeah, when you dream of something and it's before you even made the choice related to being around or having that thing in your life. So
Right, I know, it's like crazy. Yeah, I can honestly say that without that dream, like I would probably not have that friend in my life or be as close with him. And that might even be in like a literal sense too. I don't know. It was very, very interesting.